Are you thinking about building a community-focused platform for both online and in-person engagement and connection? Or perhaps you'd like to increase connection and engagement with your village, your community. Well, our guest built a global membership-only networking organization with local and online gatherings for women, and she's sharing all her insights and scoop to help you soar. That's right. Stay tuned for Startup Live show. Woohoo! I got to go find my opening music today and turn off my phone while I'm at it. We're having one of those fun days. See you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Startup Life Live show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to first-time founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founders' startup stories to help newly minted business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed. And we know we grow when we hear other founders' stories, how they figured problems out. It's amazing what we can add to our own bandwidth when we up our game and tune in to another founder's story. So I'm so grateful that you carved out the time to tune in now, live or later, to up your game as a founder and cheer on a fellow founder. And for those of you watching now or via the replay, I would be so grateful if you would to like the video that you're watching from right now. Click that little like button. It really helps spread the show out into the world so we can help more founders everywhere they're glowing. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd be so grateful for your subscription on my YouTube channel. Again, it helps get more of the delicious information that first-time founders need to grow their businesses. So let me introduce you to a phenomenal female founder because, hey, right now it's Friday and it's Fab Female Founder Friday here at the Startup Life Live show. And our guest is Violette, and she'll let me know if I said that correctly. And she is a Cuban-American serial and social entrepreneur and the founder of FemCity, a global membership-only networking organization empowering women who are launching and growing businesses or growing careers within a corporate or institutional setting. And she is pure joy and has so much wonderful, valuable information to share with all of us. I am so excited to welcome her to the show. Hey, Violette, welcome to Startup Life Live Show. That's the audience clapping right there.
I love it. And I'm like dancing along with it. Happy Friday, Ande. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest.
I'm so thrilled you're here. Where are you hailing from?
I am in Miami.
Yeah. So sun and fun happening, right?
Exactly.
I love that. I'm going to live vicariously through you. One of my good friends, Andy Jack, he's down there in Miami too. And I said, look, I'm just going to feel your beautiful vibes hanging out with the sun and the fun because I still have snow in my yard here in Boston. Okay. That's just wrong. But anyway, I am so thrilled you're here. Please say your name correctly.
So Violet was perfect. And then the last name is Day, like the day outside. And then it's Ayala.
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 I love that. It's a beautiful name. And Violet is so beautiful as well.
Thank you.
And, I'm excited to dive in and hear how you came to start this journey. But I just want to say hi to 2 goddesses who are tuning in, female founders, Mia Voss. Oh, she's an active, she's a mouthy activist, but I know we have an activista. What's the new name that we have for you, Mia? She's a brand ambassador. She's just rocking the world with her deliciousness. And the founder of the Mavens Network and the phenomenal Mavens World Conference, which is coming to us live. Correct me if I'm right, Anna Maven, on Friday the 26th and Saturday the 27th. What a lineup of speakers. This is the 9th annual. It's her first virtual. She's amazing. And then Lisa, oh my gosh, my Montreal goddess of all. She's a great coach, someone who really inspires women to shine brightly in the world and bring their everything. How are you, Lisa? Yeah. What's the temps doing up there in Canada? Oh my gosh. And thank you, actionist. Perfect. So not an activist, not an activista, an actionist. There we go, Mia. You're rocking the world beautifully out there. Thank you, everyone. You know, we're airing live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, because why not, right? Facebook and Periscope. So I'm thrilled that you're here. And remember, if you have any questions for Violette, pop them in. I mean, this is a beautiful brain for you to pick today, okay? Great information is in there for you and your business. And also, yay. Also, we can amplify your business. So this is really important on live shows because not only are we live, but this is hanging out for replay. It's archived on all those platforms that I just mentioned. So people are going to be watching it again and again and again. If we can bring up the name of your business and your one-liner and the URL and celebrate you right up here, that would be wonderful. So those are my housekeeping notes for everybody before we dive in. Yay, Lisa. Oh, wonderful. Oh, isn't that great, Violet?
Super nice. Thank you so much, Lisa. So great to meet you. And
all the places to watch. Love it. I know this is the beauty of live stream. So, Violet, I mean, you know, I always saying, because, you know, I co-host a monthly pitch event here in Boston and have for almost 3 years that we always like to joke with the founders, right? Like, what's the matter with you? What do you mean you're starting a business? But there you were, networking in Miami and craving a more connected, empowered community for women. So please share with everybody your launch story, what compelled you and called you to launch FemCity.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go back a little bit beyond before that, because it kind of sets it up perfectly. I owned a Pilates studio in Raleigh, North Carolina for about 10 years. And really the success of that company and my satellite locations was really because of the women that I surrounded myself with. Right. And so we moved back home to Miami and I started a new job here. I was doing the marketing PR for the Four Seasons. And the company had wanted me to go to all the networking events in Miami and network and partner up with other luxury brands. And so I did that. I would go to most expensive networking events and then like the ones that were free. And after about a year or so, I realized, you know, I just didn't find a place there. And they were beautiful events. I mean, Miami knows how to do fantastic, swag bags and great speakers, but something was missing. And I think they were just like a really large kind of environments. And so after a while, I thought, you know what, let me just start something small. It'll just be 20 women. We'll meet in Miami once a month. We'll just serve as a kind of a sisterhood in business, refer business, be there as a support system, focus groups, whatever we need. And so that's really how it started. I had one event in Miami. It was not a well-produced event, meaning I had no curriculum, no programming. And had
you ever run an event before, Violet?
Not like that. I mean, I would do it for companies, but not really for a networking kind of situation, not really. And so it was wonderful because the women that were there were wonderful, but we kind of all looked at each other and thought like, what now what? And so the second time I did a FemCity Miami event, I went crazy, right? So I was like, we're going to have 3 speakers and everyone's going to do a commercial about themselves and we're going to do this. And so it went on the other end of like just way too much, but we had 60 women that showed up because those 20 started chatting. And then we had 60 that showed up.
Nice.
And that was probably March or April. Every month we continued to do them in Miami and they grew and they were kind of a solid 50 to 60 women. And finally in November of that year, someone came up to me and said, you know what, Violet, I drive 30 minutes to come to a FemCity event. And I think you're very selfish for not starting a chapter in Fort Lauderdale. And at the time I was running my own PR marketing agency. I had gone on my own and was doing environmental initiatives. And I was also raising 3 kids in 3 different schools, kind of running all that craziness. And then I sat on 6 boards raising funds and awareness for nonprofits that I love in my community. And so I thought, I've never been called selfish. And I at first I was like, that's like really harsh, like that's a really, like,
I mean, especially for a woman who gives so much, right?
Like crazy. And so what I realized, I'm completely woo-woo. So I'm going to just touch upon that really quick. So at the same time, Ande, I had friends on Facebook that were looking at our pictures. We had no website, no business model, no revenue stream, nothing. It was like just complete passion project. And they were looking at our pictures and they were saying, I want a FemCity in my city. Like, who do I need to talk to? That looks like amazing. And I was like, you talk to me, but why would you want this? So I actually even questioned when people asked me for FemCity, I questioned, I was like, I don't understand what you see. And I did not see the vision. I actually didn't even see what people saw. I was so in it and enjoying the moment that I didn't see how this could be of value to other people, because I thought clearly everyone has this in their life. Why, it's simple. Just get together with friends, have lunch. What's the big deal? And so after like the 10th person, I thought to myself, there is some sort of message from above. I need to just stop and figure out what is going on and what people see. And that's really what propelled me into starting our first chapter, our second chapter, and also making it scalable.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, what's that saying? If you want something to get done, give the assignment to a busy woman, right? So there you were, spinning the plates, raising kids, giving back to your community, working for someone. But isn't it wonderful how our businesses can come to us this way in like, wow. Yeah, I mean, you got to test your beta. You got to prove, okay, I didn't want it like this, but then that was too much. You got to experiment. And you got to get all that great feedback from people. And it was never your intention. We're going to launch it, then we're going to scale it. I'm going to raise all this money and I'm going to do this. Yours was just, I really feel a need to connect with everybody.
Absolutely.
And it was that inside calling to serve the world in a more significant way. And I'm always curious as to why do you think it was you? Okay. Because I'm sure other women have thought, I need to start some networking group. And some people might have been saying to them, hey, I love these photos from what you're doing. Can you do something here? Why do you think you went, okay, I'm going to bring it to more locations outside of Miami? Why do you think that happened?
Actually, I even asked others to do it before I started doing it. I actually asked people like, you should really start a networking group for women. You should really, and people thought I was crazy. And then finally I was like, well, I guess since someone else is going to do it, I'll just do it myself. And that's really, and I think really it's a great lesson in like listening to what the world is telling you, listening to your gut. Excuse me. I'm recovering from that. Can't stop coughing.
That's okay. Violet had, everybody, she had her vaccine. And so sometimes, the first one, you just feel like you've been punched in the arm and, taken down during a fight somewhere. But the second one is usually when you start going, oh, I'm not feeling so good. But Violet, she's in the process of recovering from that first one. So thank you, Violet.
Sorry about that. I'm good now. But what comes to mind also is, I heard recently this beautiful statement, but the future pulls you. And I think that's what really, it continuously pulled me into that direction. And even though I didn't have a business model or revenue stream or any funding or any idea how it would be monetized, I just kept finding this pull into being of service. And then it grew from that.
Okay. I'm having it. I know this is really early on, everybody, to have this, but I'm telling you, the future is, what did you say? The future pulls you?
Pulls you. Yeah. That comes from one of our global members. She said it twice this week in 2 different classes. And I thought that is so beautiful because it's so true. When you start looking at the future and following that alignment that's guided by your purpose and the craving to do something good in the world, it really pulls you, and you just listen to those steps, and one leads to another. We started launching, and then of course it wasn't perfect. I mean, we're still not perfect, but each step developed.
I got to tell you though, the moment I'm having is a stitch that on a pillow moment. The future pulls you. Okay. That is so important. And sometimes we ignore that pull. Right. And when we really could be listening to that, and sometimes it's a pull, sometimes it's a push. Everybody knows every business I launched came to me like a stray cat in the door until I let it in. But I love that. And please tell that wonderful woman who coined it, who brought that up that you shared today.
Melissa Williamson.
Oh, tell her that I called that a stitch on a pillow moment. Speaking of Ande, Jack, I was telling Violet earlier that you were down there in sunny Miami Beach. This is the gentleman that I run the monthly pitch event with, Founders Live Boston. And so you can be sure, AJ, connect with Violet while you're down there. She's doing remarkable things. And yes, Mia, way to take charge of the networking narrative. Good, good, good. I love that. And Lisa, isn't it a beautiful website? Lisa saying, loving your website, Violette. I miss my deserving diva days. Ooh. And yes, me, it's always interesting to see what the outside set of eyes see, right? You know, and they start, and when people come pulling in and getting that woo-woo message from the from the future too, right? Oh God, it's good. It's good. It's good. Hey, Olgie, how you doing? Olgie was on the show earlier a week ago. Oh my gosh, Olgie, with his incredible heelless shoes, his sneakers to help runners avoid the injuries. Remarkable startup story. If anybody's watching, go back and watch that episode. Yes, isn't that a great quote? Let the future pull you forward. Oh, beautiful. Okay, but there are parts and pieces, and we really get that deeper purpose, and we get that you said yes when the universe said, you do it. You went, okay, because you know how to get stuff done. And so your background is in what? So how did that lead your background help you be uniquely qualified to do this?
Oh my gosh. So my background is I went to college for like a liberal studies, a pre-law degree. I applied to law school, and started my first business. I was 22 years old. I think the reason why I was so passionate about being an entrepreneur at just such a young age is because I'm first Cuban American. My parents arrived into the United States in 1961, and hearing the stories of all of these fellow Cubans in my community and in my family that came with a penny in their pocket, that dream, that immigrant dream that we always hear about. I heard that my entire life of, going from rags to riches, or losing all your money, moving to a new country, new language, new culture, new everything, and really creating tremendous wealth just by that hustle, just by moving forward, putting it into action. So I
having
really,
the courage too.
Having the courage. And I think there's a little bit of ignorance because I started so young. I really didn't know that I could fail. I just was kind of like, well, I'm 22 years old and I want to start as a personal training company. So I want to do that. So just starting that and, putting everything on my Discover credit card. They're not partners or sponsors. I literally put it on a Discover credit card and just, and little by little, I opened another business and made every mistake possible. I didn't really have any mentors until recently. And, I think that's the reason why I moved forward, because I really didn't know any other way, honestly.
Right. And also you'd seen that. You'd seen people come with the clothes on their back to this country. They had to figure it out, whether it was getting employed or starting their own gig. And you saw that and you said, well, if they can do it, so can I. You had really great representation, which I love for you. And, you weren't going to let your gender hold you back, because I'm sure you saw plenty of female as well as male role models. But I love that you tapped into the female customer segment. And I also, as I mentioned earlier, folks, Violette proved her value proposition. Well, her value proposition proved itself, frankly. So many people launch a product without getting that validation, thinking, of course, people are going to love this. Yours was already proven. Everybody already said, we love this, bring it in. But then you were going to take it to the next level. Did you bring on team members? How did you build that initial group to go to different locations?
Yeah, so I my Pilates studio that I owned, going back to that, because this was really the lesson in how I started running FemCity, or started FemCity. With my Pilates studio, I ran it and it grew so to a point where I couldn't grow anymore unless I franchised it. Yeah. And I remember I met with a franchise attorney who was one of my students, and she said, I don't know how you're going to scale this. You've created a hobby business. There's no scalability. And so I let that go. I just liquidated everything and moved. And that kept playing in the back of my mind. And I thought to myself, the next time I create a business, it is going to be so scalable. I also couldn't sell the Pilates studio because everything was around Violette. Everyone wanted me to be their teacher or be in the studio, and so no one really wanted to buy the brand, because even though it wasn't called Violette's Pilates Studio, it kind of was. And so starting FemCity from the very beginning, before I even started launching new chapters, I thought, how am I going to make this live beyond me? How am I going to make it scalable so that I can increase the chapters and not increase the workload, and make it so that it feels the same? It's super yummy. People feel that gratitude, that positivity. Our slogan is business for your soul. So it's definitely not a traditional networking environment. We could talk a lot about gratitude and positivity and attraction and prosperity. And so from the beginning, I set it up like that. So as we started launching and growing, every time we would go to, actually, we're going through it now. So we're about to up level, look at all of the process, all the operations to say, are we strong enough to take it to the next level and still have it feel the same? Where people have that connection to me, they still feel like they're being handheld and feel nurtured. So we've done intentional pauses along the way to make sure that it's there in place, but it's always been a system. Before I ever bring anything on board, or a product or a campaign or a project or a collaboration, I think to myself, how can this serve 1 million people? And then I create that process to make sure that it can actually scale to that level so that we never have those in place.
That is a terrific piece of advice, right, everybody? That's definitely an Andelicious moment right there. Oh my gosh. Imagine asking that question, can this serve 1 million people?
Yeah.
And coming from that mindset. See, and the beauty of what you're doing, Violette, that I just love is that you're combining the mindset, the prosperity, the positivity, the things that we have to keep repeating to ourselves every day, folks, whether you believe it works or not. You have to set the tone for your day with that positivity coupled with the numbers. So, how can we reach 1 million people? That is going to require data. That's going to require marketing strategy and tactics. I love that. So how did you finance this, Violette? Let me just, throw this up real quickly. I want to put this up all the way through. Everybody who was watching, you're invited to try out FemCity for free for 30 days. Okay. So is there a special code, or is that right there on the website? They can, perfect.
Yeah. Super easy, simple.
My community.
Super easy. Just go over and try it out, and you can cancel anytime. It's interesting. Our membership rates are very low. And I remember when we were moving to a new website, I was talking to one of the programmers, and he was like, oh my gosh, it is so inexpensive. It is so inexpensive. But I told him, I want to make sure it's affordable for everyone. And if it's not, so it's, $15 a month, $15.99. If it's not, we have a scholarship program in place as well. So that is again, going back to scalability.
Wonderful.
How do you serve 1 million people? You make it affordable for 1 million people. And if you don't have the $15.99, we have promos also. We've got that scholarship ready for you as well.
Right. So I'm putting it out to you folks who want to build something that is global. How can this serve 1,000 people onto however big? Okay. Really embrace that, really take that on, because that's what it's going to need to get the momentum and have the profitability and sustainability that it requires. So Violette, how did you fund this along the way? I don't know what the startup costs or how, building a platform like this entails. Did you bring on, I've got 2 questions. How did you fund it? And how did you handle the technology side? Did you outsource it, or did you bring someone on board?
Yeah. So let me go back really quick to the serving 1 million people. That includes your process and your operations. So anytime you're going to go ahead and add something, like the process should be able to handle 1 million. Because I see a lot of businesses that they have the vision, but then they have this system that's set up in place that cannot sustain that. It cannot do that. So that I wanted to add that in there as like a little exclamation point as well. So for starting, so at first we had funding because we were having our FemCity Miami networking lunches, and I was making like $10 to $20 per person. So not a lot of money, but we were kind of like sacking in some money there, and
it was cash flow positive.
It was it was always, but I had one of my closest friends was really passionate about it. So he gave us a check. I think it was like $30,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So we did that. And then we had another friend who was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy, 2 shares, $20,000. So we had $50,000. And with that, we created the first website, which we outgrew, by the way. As soon as it was finished, we had already outgrown the website.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. So even though we had that there in place, it helped a lot with, just hiring experts to help us out with the marketing, the branding, the logo, the trademarking, all those little things. But honestly, that's all we had. And so it was a lot of grit, a lot of me not making any money for a couple years.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, it reminds me of like when you have your first child, everyone, you're really one page, not even one chapter, one page ahead of where they are growing. And so you're like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And that's what FemCity feels like to me, because it was so ready to go. How did you come up with the name FemCity? Oh, that's okay. Woo!
It comes and goes.
Yes. It's such a great, for someone who loves branding like I do, I really do appreciate when a name is pretty clear about its target audience or the product or who they're serving.
Yeah, it actually came through just noodling, like brainstorming, kind of thing. Okay, it's for females. And I didn't want anything, actually it was called FemFashionals at first. I had trademarked FemFashionals and FemCity. FemFashionals, and that's exactly why we changed it. Exactly. So funny story. I had started it with FemFashionals. We were calling the local chapters FemCity. And Joan Barnes, who is the founder of Gymboree, is a mentor of mine.
Oh, wonderful.
And so one day we were in Miami having lunch, and she knew, it was FemFashionals and I had the FemCity, and she stopped and she looked at me, and I had just thought about it the night before. I said, you know what, I should have gone with FemCity. The energy's more open. I don't know, it just symbolizes more diversity, but it's too late. I had already been in a couple publications. I think Vogue had already put us in Vogue. I mean, we made it into Vogue. So I was like, how can we go against that? And she looked at me and she goes, you should have gone with FemCity. And as soon as Joan said that, we had my phone or her phone, and we bought the domain. We got it on Instagram. We got everything. I had to fight for it on Twitter, which is, thank God I had my trademark in place, because I was able to get it from someone who had taken it over on Twitter. And anyway, so and we had to change everything over to FemCity. Because of that, it grew. But that's exactly why. FemFashionals, no one could spell it, no one could say it, no one could remember how to even now. I still own the domain for FemFashionals, but on the analytics, you can see that people are still trying to figure out, back in the day, like how to spell it. Is it, it was a nightmare. So FemCity is just clean. I mean, right now, the most bizarre is that they have it separated. That's not a problem. But back in the day, so it's all, again, listening to what other people are telling you and moving forward in action and making sure that it aligns with what you're thinking and what you're feeling.
And it's okay to change it. You just have to spend a little more time and maybe effort on the branding and the marketing, but worth it. And it's so important. When we had earlier this week, we had the branding specialist, Denise Kegler, on. She was talking about that. Your name really has to resonate with you, the founder, because you have to show up with your business every day and, deliver that brand promise to everyone every day. So you started in Miami. Did you start growing into Florida? How did that work?
So we launched in Miami, and then we launched in Fort Lauderdale. And I said to myself, well, of course it worked in Fort Lauderdale. We're in Miami. That's not going to prove to, so let's do something really far away where I've never been and see if it does well. And so at the time we did one in Texas and we did Philadelphia. And Philadelphia was amazing. It felt the same. It looked the same. Women loved it. So that was a really good test for us. And then we paused and we said, okay, so let's go ahead and launch a couple more, see how it does. We'd launch, ask, how did we do? Are we okay? Should we, change anything up? And then in 2010, 2011, Google had just started doing their Google circles and their Google Hangout. And they had these brand ambassadors that were out in the field, and they reached out to us and said, hey, we want to teach, these classes to your members about how to get how to get their business on Google, how to leverage Google Hangouts, how to use Google Circles. And so Google did that for us across all of our chapters. At that point, we had one in Seattle. We started having kind of scattered all over the place because people were posting on social media, and then people were like, oh, this looks amazing, and starting. And then Yelp did the same thing. So Yelp was like, hey, we want to teach classes to your members because there might be anxiety about if I'm on Yelp, if I get a negative review, what do I do? And so that really, again, that evolution made it so that now we do a lot of online programming.
And so let me ask you this. How has it been charging people? How has that membership part been? Because those of folks out there who are trying to do the subscription model or membership business model, again, I know that you started earlier, so it's not like someone who's launching in the last few years. What has that been like?
So at first we had it as an annual membership only. The monthly has been a huge thing for us because people are sometimes on budgets. I would say if you're going to consider or thinking, or you're in the process now of having a subscription-based business model, I'm of the mindset to make it so that's affordable for everyone. And I have another mentor of mine who had this amazing olive oil company. She's friends with Oprah Winfrey. She had them in every single store. She sold the company for a ridiculous amount, which is wonderful. And that was her advice to me, is to make sure that your product can be for everyone. And when you ensure it like that, things like 2020 may ding you, but they're not going to knock you out.
Well, and I just got to bring this up thank you for that. Mia, I know. Mia and I were both live show hosts on Google Hangouts until it stopped. So we were part of that. And in fact, that's where Mia's brand ambassador business launched out of as well. And this leads to Mia's question here, which is, how are you handling the pandemic? I'm guessing you came up with something heart-centered and clever to pivot and keep everybody together. I know I've seen some wonderful live interviews of wonderful female founders with their businesses with you.
Yeah, excellent question. So I panicked for one day. I remember being in Miami and going to the local Sephora here and getting the under eye stuff because I was like, I'm going to be doing a lot of camera, a lot of video. I need to get the thing to cover my dark circles. So I went because I was like, I'm not going to be able to find it. So let me go. And I remember getting in my car and crying and going, oh my gosh, because we have at least 200 events every single month in local chapters. So this was a big thing for us talking about the pandemic, Right. And I cried it out. And then I was like, move forward in action, because that's the only thing I can focus on is move forward in service. And we added live classes twice a week. With experts, so our members could ask questions. We added programs on how to create an Etsy store, how to create a Shopify store, how to create, revenue on Pinterest. I mean, we went all in on like how to transition. We also added weekly group coaching that was free, weekly mentorship as well. So that was free. That is still free, by the way, part of the membership. And so really that's what we did, is we kind of just went in and said, you know what? We know people are going to be freaking out. We were freaking out a little bit. Let's dive in and really be there for them. Offered that scholarship program. So we had so many members that were like, I can't afford this anymore, but I need this in my life. We had women that were coming to us saying, I was let go. I barely have money, but I need to get in business going. We brought them in.
Well, especially under those circumstances where it might have been a side hustle.
Yeah.
Maybe not hobby, but side hustle definitely. And then all of a sudden now they're home with the kids, maybe going a little crazy because they're used to a lot more stimulation. But, this is important, staying safe. How do I do this? And you gave them that opportunity. I love that, Violet.
Thank you, Andy. We even added like mental health topics because we knew that, a lot of our members were saying this is really tough. So we've done a couple of segments on mental health, how to balance it all, we've brought in some experts to help us through that as well. So it's really just, again, going back to being of service, making sure that we're there for everyone. I mean, we lost money. It was not like, woo, great year. I checked our invoices. I think I have like $75,000 in outstanding invoices from last year. But you know what? We're here. We didn't have to let go of anybody. We didn't have to cut anyone's salary or retainers. And we're still serving. We're moving forward. And we
love that. I love that. And how did you manage your mindset during that as well? I know you went to Sephora, you got ready to put it, and you had the, oh my God, what am I going to do now moment, which, folks, they teach you this in graduate school, but I rarely hear anybody talking about this, which is planning for circumstances that are beyond your control with your business. So if you're physical, a brick and mortar, it's the weather, the hurricane that's going to wipe you out. Everybody knows my story with my food manufacturing plant that got hit by lightning and shut down, and the packaging plant was in the same storm and they got shut down. Not to mention agriculturally, 2 of my products got wiped out, ingredients got wiped out. These things will happen. And there's, the only thing you can do to prepare for that is to go with the flow. And in your case, Violet, you were able to come up with some wonderful ways to continue serving so that people felt honored, felt loved, felt appreciated, felt helped during this period of time. Because at the end of the day, you know that it's how you make people feel, right? That's what they remember. And so they will be there for you post-pandemic, yes?
Yes. And it's the mindset. I'm so glad you brought that up. The mindset is everything. I mean, I even tell our members, I can teach you how to make money. I can teach you how to open up a business. But if at the end of the day, your mindset is not set to be of success or to be of wealth, it's going to be a really long journey. And the same thing holds true with those moments when you're, everything's upside down. What was yesterday is not today. The thing that guided me every single time my mind wanted to go into that level of despair, I'm going to lose all this. Everything's closing. I've got to switch everything over. How am I going to do? I just kept directing it to what can I do today to be of service with what I've got? How do I serve? How do I help others? Because then your energy is there to help others, and then that brings you joy, and that changes your energy, and that elevates the entire conversation.
It sure does.
Serve and help others. That's always been the way that I move forward, is just kind of like, I'm not going to think about that. That doesn't serve me. What can I do today to help others?
And that's when you have to take your eye off the numbers and know it is what it is, right, and go back to your North Star. And that's why launching a business because you think you're going to make money with it is down here on your list, because you'll never make it through the dark days of the soul if that is your purpose. It needs to be serving, helping someone else get what they want, solving a pressing problem that they have. Whatever that looks like, that is what's important.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Violette, first of all, I come back to thank you for helping the women. You know that millions of women were just left the workforce in the last 12 months. And many women need to feel like they are contributing and need to know that they are connected. And when you are stuck in your home with your kids, and God love them, I mean, aren't you glad that you're not home with the kids from, you're back in school days and, trying to get everybody's password for the right place to be. And oh my gosh, I mean, we love our children something fierce, but it's nice to let them go out into the world and do their thing and give you a break. Nobody's had that break. Moms have been really suffering. So I love that. So when someone joins FemCity, what happens? Take us on a journey for someone who first decides, okay, I'm going to put my card down. I'm going to join this membership. I'm going to try it out for 30 days. What is the journey that they have?
Sure. They come through and they either pick virtual, because now we have a pretty big virtual community, or a local chapter. And once they come through, we send them an introduction, either to myself, the virtual, or to a local chapter leader. And then we just guide them. They can take classes. They have access to our library. They have access to our mentorship, our coaching. We run everything 1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. So we're starting that very simple. We kind of had a lot going on at the beginning of the pandemic with lots of classes, but now we're coming out of it. So we're just doing a 1 p.m. Eastern time every day. There's an activity. We added a meditation on Friday, like a wellness workshop on every Friday, so we can close out the week together, doing something, whether it's yoga or practicing meditation or breathing. We're just here for them. And again, it's not for everyone. I get it. We're a little woo-woo. We talk about gratitude and positivity. And
that's not woo-woo. That's called healthy living.
I agree. But some people will be like, oh, gratitude. I'm like, spirit. I mean, we had a class yesterday on the science of manifestation, like what that really is about. And we, just diving in. So, but again, our members can request classes. If they need something taught, we bring in the expert to teach that class. We're here of service. We want to help 1 million women more start their own business, grow their wealth, and live life the way that they want.
So pre-pandemic, okay, because you were in business for 10 solid years, really adding value, growing globally, launching in communities. I'd love for you to share a time that it did not work out. Like maybe you launched in a city and it turned out to be crickets. Share how that worked.
I mean, there's so many stories there.
Because we learned from those, and everybody has such a bad attitude around failure. You have to give permission to be wrong, everybody. That's the only way you grow, is if you're like, hey, I was wrong. Ching, get out the clappers and went, I didn't know, and celebrate that. So share something, because that's where we learn incredible things.
Yeah, I'm trying to narrow it down to three. So 3 that I think will be a very broad and everyone can connect with. I think there was a time where I think we grew too fast at the beginning, where our training wasn't really in place online. We were doing it old school, printing the manual, delivering it. So that definitely, we outgrew that. There was one time we started a newspaper. I thought I was so in love with this project, so in love, like featuring women, local businesses, quotes, inspiration, bite size. It was beautifully designed. We ended up going with the Miami Herald printing company. It was like, I loved this idea. It totally flopped. No one saw the vision in it. Everyone was like, nah, it doesn't look good. So that was another one.
Good one.
Yeah. I mean, there are people that I hired that I shouldn't have hired, that come to find that, that didn't work out. Spending a lot of money on places where I thought it would come out to something, here's a great example also, because I think this one will really touch upon a lot of people. So we hired this expert to do like this Facebook ad, ClickFunnels, which work for a lot of companies. We did it. We tried it out. We spent so much money on that. And we were trying to get new chapters and new leaders to come through. And we had a lot of people apply, and then it never panned out. And so now we realize our growth strategy is really organic. It always comes from within. So we did an analysis to see how did we get all of the leaders that we have that are amazing leaders? Oh, they came because they were part of FemCity, whether they were virtual or in a city nearby, or their sister or their best friend. So we realize it's always going to be an organic growth. You have to already be a part of FemCity in order for you to launch a chapter, because you know the whole vibe of it. And so, that was a huge mistake. I think we spent, oh my gosh, thousands and thousands of dollars that, we didn't have in the back, oh yeah, we have millions of dollars. Let's go use that. We didn't have that.
But you found it was just such the best investment, because it put up with that contrast moment,
right?
The incredible way and vibration that FemCity operates, because you wouldn't have understood that about your community, or at least not as deeply. So that to me is just like the biggest win.
Yeah.
And I would have paid that money to know that and go deeper.
But it was clothed in failure, right? It was clothed in failure, but at the end of the day, and all of them were too. But the reality was that it was beautiful, and it's the way your mindset also, right? I can harbor and kind of go through and go, I can't believe it, and I lost all that money and this and that, and it works for everybody else, but didn't work for us. The reality is it was, like you said, it's a beautiful exercise to realize, oh, this is the way it is. Now I know.
And one of the best stories, and you may already know this story, Violette, is Slack, which $1 billion IPO perhaps. They had a gaming company. That's how they developed their team platform to communicate. They went through $17 million of VC and other money.
Wow, I didn't know
and
that.
Failed miserably. So they're sitting there at the end of the day, and they go, well, this thing that we created to communicate with our remote workers, and maybe this has legs.
Wow.
And there you go.
Great story.
So, sometimes you got to go down some really tough rabbit holes to come out the other side to learn. It's that lived experience. They would never have created that if they hadn't tried their game design business. So I'm just going to say hi to a few folks here. Hello, Eric from Media Prepared. Violet, his business helps you be prepared when that mic gets put in your face, so that you have your sound bites ready to go and you're ready for that moment. And yes, Mia, we both agree that's a female superpower, combining woo-woo and intuition with hardcore business. Yay! And Laura, you'll love Laura's business. She has an olive oil company called Zaze, and it is farmed by women farmers out of Turkey. So that is sustaining their world, and she's all about helping women, female farmers, with her beautiful, beautiful product. And she's wondering if there's a FemCity chapter in Boston. What?
Yeah, we don't have one, but we do have a couple members that are there. So hopefully,
there we go.
Yeah, I encourage you to apply.
There she's going to be joining and listening more and getting the scoop. So AJ has a really good question. I always count on AJ for this. When we have our pitch events, you know, especially now that we're virtual, AJ always asks our featured founders these amazing questions. So can you talk more about the business directory section and how members can leverage your community to launch their new biz or validate a new idea? Are there featured ads that they can buy, etc.?
Excellent question. So we have a private Facebook group for our members, and then each of our chapters does as well. And that serves as a great platform to do that focus group and I encourage them to do that. If you have an idea, post it there. Hey, what do you guys think about this logo or that logo or this product or this service or this pricing? So it really encourage them to leverage each other to help them through this process. We also have a team of experts that are in our global program, and those women are already scaling businesses in a really big way. Those women mentor our local chapter members. And so when they get to that point where they're looking to up level, we have a team in place to help them through that process as well. And it's really networking. We meet often. We encourage them to talk about their wins.
Beautiful.
Curriculum, you have to share a win. You got to share gratitude for another woman anywhere in the world, and you got to share an ask. And the reason why we added that ask is because it's very hard for women to verbalize what they need. And so when you have to stop and there's peer pressure, right? You have to ask for something. Follow, subscribe to my YouTube channel, buy my book, follow my, that is it's really important for us to practice all three of those. Sharing a win, patting ourselves on our back, acknowledging the greatness, acknowledging the greatness of other women, and then of course doing that ask. So that's part of our curriculum, is to kind of encourage them, we got all the way in.
Remember, women, I am open to receive. Okay. You can't always be the giver. You got to be the receiver.
Exactly.
And say yes and accept the help out there for you. And here, everybody, just when you're tuning in, here is Zaze's information. Follow them on Instagram. So AJ, you got another great question, which I love. Are you seeing common threads with the city's demographics that typically makes it a perfect FemCity community that grows fast? Ooh.
That's a great question. Yeah. So you can even see our pockets. Our pockets are generally more in the metropolitan areas, but then you'll see like little sprouts off like 20 minutes away. So you'll see like Toronto is a great example. Toronto, we have about 20 local chapters around Toronto. I think they're generally women that are looking for a diverse community. They're looking to make friends. They're looking to expand their circle. And that's really kind of where I see the most success for FemCity.
I got to tell you, I don't know, about 8 years ago, created a list on Twitter called Amazing Toronto Goddesses. Seriously, there is a hotbed of female founders and women who love to support each other, no matter how they grow and glow. And you at FemCity also support women for whatever dream there might be. They might be wanting to break a glass ceiling at an organization, or they may want to become an executive director at a nonprofit. Whatever that dream is, you support them in that. Yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. So it's not just for business owners. It's also for women who have dreams for within an organization. And explain how that works on the platform for those women.
Yeah, so a lot of our curriculum is personal development also. And so, yeah, we do a lot of business classes. And again, there are requests that we receive from our members. So if someone says, hey, I need to create a Shopify store, or I need to create an e-commerce or an Etsy store, could you host a class in that? We'll bring that in. But the same holds true with, helping women in a personal development way, your mindset. What if you're struggling with money? You're struggling to ask for more. You're struggling to find your self-worth. Let's talk about that. So the curriculum is really based on what the members are telling us, and even locally. So even the local chapters before the pandemic, those members would really designate the curriculum. And so they all have different programs, because some really want to do more the personal development side. Some really want to do that business trend marketing, so each of them, even now we're in discussions with launching in Provence and in Spain, in Madrid. They're asking, the women in France that we're talking to, they're talking now about more HR issues. and the things that they're going through. So every city has its own
and that adds to your content and your curriculum. I love that. Again, last Tuesday, Denise was talking about that personal brand, right? A lot of women within organizations may have been hired here and they've been working their way up. How do you shift that personal brand so that your professional brand, so that you are branding yourself within the organization so that people don't keep you pigeonholed where you used to be as you're growing. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful benefits to this organization. So we have talked about mindset because I know mindset is very important to you. But, sometimes as founders, I always like to say, Violette, that we sleep like babies at night, waking up every 2 hours crying. How have you shifted your mindset? What really works for you that you think other founders might benefit hearing about?
I think just, the biggest thing that helped me is when I first started, I was so obsessed with the side hustle and that I always had to be working and I couldn't take a break because it would mean that I wasn't serious about the work that I was doing, and working until I collapsed. And then I started having a lot of health issues, high blood pressure. I was having a lot, pre-diabetes. I was fatigued all the time. I think for me, it was finding that balance of realizing that I could produce a lot in this world. I could generate a lot of wealth for myself and others, but I don't have to kill myself. I don't have to be unhealthy. I don't have to be in a state of frenzy and chaos. That to me was really life-changing, and also to enjoy the journey more, to recognize that it's part of the journey. Like you mentioned, how stressful it must have been when you had your company and the ingredients are now gone. And what does that impact if you have a brick and mortar store and the hurricane's coming? All those things are very stressful, but every day as an entrepreneur, it's an ebb and flow. You're going to have days that have that. And once you realize it's part of the process and it happens to everyone, every single person, you fall in love with those moments, even if they're stressful, even if they're unknown, even if you're scared. It's part of all of that, just like it is with life, learning how to walk, learning how to, run, learning how to do all these new things. It is the exact same way. And once you really come to terms with how harmonious it can be, if you just allow it to flow and you just enjoy that, highs and lows, you'll find a more happier place. And that will, again, increase your energy, your vibration, and help it to bring more opportunities your way.
I love that, especially fall in love with the process.
Yeah.
Fall in love, everyone, with the fact that every day is going to come with new moments. 1 minute you're popping the champagne, the next minute you're crying into it. And that's part of the journey. One day it's a win, the next day was a disaster. But you know what? You're a founder because you are great at solving problems. And a community like FemCity is going to help you solve your problems perhaps a little faster, because you're going to find people in this organization that may have the answer and may go, oh, I've been there and this is what I did. Maybe it'll work for you. Imagine being able to have those great conversations with others and get the lift and have the workshops, or even in just you're doing some breathing in the end of the week moment, right? And you get an aha and you can run it by folks. I just love that, something fierce. And let's talk a little bit about how entrepreneurship, this founder journey, you said love the process. You started all of this in 2009. Here you are today in 2021. How has this journey served you? Not just professionally, Violette, but how has it served you personally?
Yeah, my husband and I were talking about that the other day. I think for myself, I was a bit of a control freak at the beginning, because everything I had ever launched before was one-dimensional in comparison to what I do now. And so it was a lot easier for me to kind of control all the components, because it was just could fit in a box, that kind of an analogy. For right now, like having all these moving parts and having all these components and everything's growing, and and then the scalability and the growth and all the things that come with it. For me personally, what I've learned is it's taken that into my personal life where nothing really bothers me, nothing really upsets me, nothing really. Even the pandemic, I mean, it was stressful. We had all the kids, I've got a 26-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 14-year-old is going to be 15, having them all move back home. My husband was working in New York City, having him move back, to Miami during the week, and all these moving parts coming back. I was able to kind of keep this very joyous disposition and a feeling of zen throughout the entire process, because I was already so connected to grit and connected to just the highs and the lows, that nothing, I just kind of maintained. And so I think that
So
journey
great.
has been huge for me. Huge. Yeah.
Well, you've become unflappable.
Yeah.
Meaning, you've had everything thrown at you and you realized it didn't serve you trying to control it. It
Yeah.
didn't serve you overreacting. It served you when you went, okay, so this is happening now. We'll figure this out. And I mean, you spent a day when the pandemic hit and the shutdown started happening and kids were coming home and the husband, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But you had your lived experience that prepared you for this. And I just want all first time founders to understand your business is the best personal development program out there. It's going to teach you things about yourself you never knew. You're going to learn skills that are going to enhance you as a human in the world, as well as a founder who not only works in your business, but on your business. So, Violette, I am so grateful that you joined us today to share this incredible story, to give us the gift of your insights and your awareness from a well-lived business that you have. Where do you see FemCity going forward right now?
So we're going through a growth pattern right now. So we've intentionally paused to make sure that everything's in check. So we are starting to launch more chapters. Last year, we kind of paused a little bit. We did add a couple, but not as many as usual. We are looking at launching in other countries. We kind of just paused that too as well. We were thinking about this summer, but now we're kind of realizing it may not work for 2021. We'll maybe wait for 2022 as other countries start opening up and getting all the vaccines out. So just keep on launching, keep on growing, and keep on being there of service for women around the world.
Oh, that is so wonderful. One last question here from the crowd. Laura's saying FemCity sounds amazing or awesome for Zaze, which is also launching in Canada, UK, EU, and Japan. Is FemCity located all over the world for connections and mentorship? And does this membership allow access to women members everywhere, local and international? And we did talk about that earlier, Laura, but say it again, Violet, because I think it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have local chapters. They meet on our Facebook group for members only, so you can connect with women around the world. And we also have a global program, and those women are already creating really big businesses that are targeting around the world as well. So we have those two levels, but absolutely. Listen, the more women you can meet around the world, it helps all.
Absolutely. The sisterhood is alive and well. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Laura, thank you so much. You definitely want to join FemCity. Anybody around, remember, let me just pull this up real quickly here. You're invited to try out FemCity for free for 30 days. Go in there, find out if it's a good fit for you. I can't imagine that it wouldn't, but you never know. I think it sounds like a phenomenal way to get that support, because I went to an all women's MBA program, and I can tell you the semantics are feminine. All right. However, we think as women, we never got caught up in, well, what do you mean by that? Because there were no men in the classroom. It really helps when you have single gender support out there. Right? Yeah, I think so. It's just wonderful. I'm going to see you in the green room. I'm just going to do a quick goodbye to everybody and thank them for tuning in. I'll be right back. Folks, did we not learn so much from Violette, especially since she has had this nice 11-year experience to walk us through and share all these great insights about her beautiful platform, FemCity. But we also got to hear how she handled this big blip, the pandemic, and still came from a place of serving her community in a wonderful way. I am just still so blown away from hearing this story about how, scholarship and helping women, because I tell you, when you help others, it'll take you out of your own pain of whatever you are going through. So let me share with you who is coming on Tuesday. You ready for this? Please meet Dr. Vish. That's right, Vish Panwani, MD. He's the CEO and co-founder of Sophia. And anybody who plays World of Warcraft, he has created a World of Workplace. It's a virtual platform to help companies and teammates connect, build culture, form communities, and get work done in a really cool gaming-like environment. And I am very excited personally to hear his story as to why did this MD leave medicine? I mean, he's Melbourne Medicine School, Harvard Medicine School. How does that happen? How does that transition happen? So please join my meetup group right here. There's a QR code you can scan or visit that link right there so that you're alerted whenever I post a new show, or just always just keep following me right here, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, and you'll see me promoting the shows all the time. And you'll always find me here Tuesday and Friday, 1 p.m. EST. All right. So as you end your day, I always want you to remember, founders, this wonderful A.A. Milne quote. Okay. And it's, you're braver than you believe. You're stronger than you seem. And oh yeah, you're smarter than you think. And I'm telling you, this founder journey will always show you that you've got this. See you next time. Wishing everyone a delicious day. Mwah.